Hello and welcome back to another video. Welcome to my October wrap up. I'm super excited to be talking about the 9 books I read this month. And this may be a little bit different from my previous wrap-ups because I decided to give a little bit more information for you guys. So I've read 9 books so far this month. Not so far. I read 9 books this month, and in total I read 3,373 pages. I decided to stop keeping track of hours because it was starting to annoy me, so I decided to stop doing that. And when I go to talk about each book, I'll actually give you the amount of pages that book was, because sometimes for me, when I'm watching someone do a wrap up or talk about a book, I'm like, how long was this book? Like, how many pages was this? Because that just is curious to me, so I'll let you guys know that. But yeah, let's get started. Alright, so first book that I read this month, quick story time before I talk about actually the first 2 books I read this month. There was supposed to be a video about these 2 books. My editing app crashed, so I lost all of that content for this first video. It was supposed to be the first video of the month. So, there is no video for the first 2 books. I'm so sorry. But I do have my reviews for both of them on Fable, which is under the same name that I am here. If you want to go check those out and actually get more in-depth opinions than what I can give you here. But so the first book I read was an ebook, Cinder by Marissa Meyer. This book is 400 pages and I gave it 4.75 stars. It is a science fiction fairy tale retelling of Cinderella, if you couldn't tell by the title, Cinder. I enjoyed this book. I liked the female main character. I guessed the plot twist before it happened, but that happens a lot for me, so I'm not saying that makes the book bad. This is probably the highest rated sci-fi book I've read. And I really enjoyed this book, and I wish I could have the content for you of me going through reading it, and you actually getting to see that. I'm really sorry. I liked this book a lot. I mean, I love Marissa Meyer as an author. I love the Renegades trilogy, and this was, I think, her first series she ever did, so it's Cinder's the first book in the series. It's good. It's a good sci-fi. I think for me, being a more avid fantasy reader, not so much a sci-fi reader, the fact that it has that fairy tale retelling element really made it easier for me to get lost in the story, because I know the story of Cinderella, so getting into it, and even though it has like a lot of science fiction elements, I mean, our main character's a cyborg, and there's some aliens and stuff, it's still, like, I was still able to see the heart of the Cinderella story within the sci-fi universe that it was set in. So I did really enjoy this book. Again, I'm really sorry about losing the content for it. But yeah, it was really good. It was good. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it because there was a cliffhanger at the end of the first one that I'm sure will carry into the next one. I think each book in the series is a fairy tale retelling of some other fairy tale. I think I might know what the next one's about. I think it might be a Rapunzel fairy tale retelling, which would be really cool. Because I've never read a Rapunzel or Rapunzel, Tangled, whichever way you want to say it. But yeah, so that was the first book that I read this month. Alright, and the second book was Maze of Bones by Rick Riordan. This is the first book in a 10-book series. This book is 220 pages. It was a reread, and I gave it 3 stars. So the 39 Clues is again, like I said, 10-book series. Actually, they're all written by different authors, each book. Like, I can put, like, the second one was written by Gordon Corman, so, like, two different authors, but, I think they work together on it. I really don't know. But, yeah, so I've read all 10, so this is a reread for me. I do like this as the reason why I got 3 stars is because I like it as the beginning of the series. This series is a YA mystery series. I feel like it's very geared toward middle schoolers, and it's a good startup for the 10 books. My own personal opinion is I prefer the latter 5 books to the first 4. I prefer 5 through 10. Those are kind of my favorite books of this series because I feel like the story really picks up. The clue hunt picks up. There's secrets that are exposed and a lot of stuff is happening. while the first 4 books are really much this, really heavily the setup to the climax and the stuff that happens in the latter 5 books. So I do recommend this to really any middle schooler, because it is very much geared towards a middle schooler. I mean, if you just open the book and see how big the print is. I mean, I read it as a middle schooler, and then now I'm a college student, and I read it again, and I loved it just as much as I did the first time around. But yeah, this was a good book. Really enjoyed it. 3 stars. Next, I have a video for this one. This is the starter where I think all but one other book has content for it. Come on, I need to sneeze. Okay. Sorry about that. So the next book is The Maze Runner by James Dashner. This is a reread. This book is 384 pages long. I listened to this also as an audiobook as well as reading it physically. I gave it 4 stars. This trilogy, the Maze Runner trilogy, is probably my favorite dystopian series. No offense to Hunger Games. I do love Hunger Games, okay? I have it right here. I do love Hunger Games. But for some reason, the Maze Runner hits different. As much as I love the Hunger Games, I think it is the male main character that we get in here, the MMC of Thomas. I think that he really, the way we meet Thomas and the way we get to know him, I like better than getting to know Katniss. I think Katniss is a great character all in her own right, but I do think she's a little bit unlikable at times, or frustrating at times. Well, not saying that Thomas isn't. I just think we can almost relate to Thomas easier because, you know, when he gets sent up into the maze and when he gets sent up into the maze, he, with no memories, no idea what's going on, is really disoriented. We, the reader, are also confused because we have no idea what's going on. We're kind of, it's like almost like we had our memories wiped along with him. Like, we don't know what's going on. We don't know why he's there or why any of the guys, the boys are there in the maze. And yeah, I think it was a good way of introducing his character to us, is us being just as confused as he is. Yeah, again, I actually have a video for this. If you want my more in-depth thoughts, I do have a video for this. And then next is The Master Apprentice by Claudia Gray. This book has 368 pages. I also listened to this as an audiobook and reading it physically. I did both. And I gave this book 3 stars. This is probably the best Star Wars book I've read so far. I've only read 3, but I really enjoyed this one. It's multiple POV. The audiobook was very immersive. It felt like I was just listening to a Star Wars movie, which I loved. The voice actor was okay. I mean, when he had to do the voices of female characters, it sounded weird because he was a guy. So I had some chuckles at times when the female characters came into the scene, but all in all, it's a pretty good Star Wars book. It follows Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon on their last mission before the Phantom Menace, and I love getting their multiple different POVs and the different relationships that they had with people and friendships, and just how their master Padawan relationship was, and how kind of actually very rocky that relationship was. It wasn't very stable. They both had personal problems with themselves, and then it kind of bled out into having issues with each other at times. And I think it really added more to the characters of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. So, really enjoyed this one, gave it 3 stars. Yeah, I would recommend this to really any Star Wars fan. Honestly, I recommend listening to Star Wars audiobooks, because that was the most immersive audiobook I've ever read. Like, one of the few audiobooks where I actually listened more to the audiobook than I did the physical book. That doesn't happen for me very often. I'm not an audiobook reader. I don't do it very often unless I know that I'm going to be like doing a lot of work with my hands to where I can't sit down and read, but I want to read the book, like I want to continue. That's why I did that with this. So, next one. Oh, yay. Next one is Quarterbacks Don't Fall for Invisible Girls. This book was 314 pages. It was a reread. It is the first book in a 14-book romance series that follows different generations, written by Emma Dalton. This book does not have a video, and I will explain why. I read this book in a day. I wanted to read it purely for my own enjoyment and not at all for a video. Not saying that I didn't read the rest of these books outside of my own enjoyment. I enjoyed reading all of these. Well, some more than others. There is one on here that I didn't love. But I am saying that as I was getting a lot of reels on my Instagram about this book due to me following the author. And I was like, I want to reread this book. This is a reread. I read it on Kindle Unlimited, Kindle Unlimited. And I'm like, I need to reread this book. I need to get back into this story, this universe of characters, because I love them so much. And you'll probably be seeing me in the future reading more books by Emma Dalton, because I actually genuinely love her romances. They are YA, they are clean, they are funny, witty, entertaining, and adorable. And I really just genuinely enjoy her romances, and I want to read more by her. Her and Alexandra Moody, I really love both of their romances. I mean, I also love Lynn Painters too, but for childhood, like, I read these books, the Invisible Girls Club is what the series is called. It's on Kindle Unlimited for those of you who are curious. I read that probably when I was either in 8th grade or 9th grade. My mom introduced me to them. She read them first, and she was like, "You're gonna love this series, read it." And I did. I was obsessed with it. I read all 14. Loved all, well, I didn't love all of them. There were some that some were hit or miss, but I do have some favorites, and you'll probably see me reading those favorites at some point. I gave this book 4.75 stars. Super cute romance. I mean, it being the first one, as I was reading this book, which I have read probably twice already by this point, I was still on the edge of my seat for most of it. It's a weird thing to say you're on the edge of your seat for a romance book, but in this, it has the fake dating trope. It has, actually, I think that's about it. Is that the only trope that's in here? I think fake dating, kind of strange, like, he's the popular guy, she's kind of nerdy. I don't know if that's a trope, but popular nerdy trope, I don't know. But it was, like, I know what's happening. Like, I know it's going to happen. But as I was reading it, I was still, like, getting excited when I should have. And I was, like, getting, like, oh, but like, I know what's going to happen. I know these two get together. But still, I'm on the edge of my seat waiting for it to happen. I know these two end up falling in love because I've already read this. But I do genuinely love and enjoy the book. So I 10 out of 10 recommend those two. They're great romances and really cute. They're high school romances, so if that puts you off from it, they are YA, so if you're looking for a YA romance, it's clean, Emma Dalton's your girl. So next is another romance, Float by Kate Marchant. This book was actually recommended to me by Lillian Kay, who is a fellow booktuber on YouTube. Go check her out, she's awesome. And this book is 376 pages, and I gave it 3.5 stars. This book, going into it, I didn't know how to feel. Because honestly, I read a summer book in fall, so I try not to do this. I've started realizing I'm not a huge fan of reading summer books in non-summer seasons. This one I did like this one. It follows Waverly, our female main character, as she goes to live she moves from Alaska to Florida for the summer to stay with her aunt, and she meets Blake. Oh wow, I did guess his name right. I was talking about him earlier, or about this book earlier, and I was like, is the male main character's name Blake? It is. Ha. I actually remembered something. But I think this story was honestly, I mean, I can't really say, like, strangers to lovers, I guess, would kind of be the plot. Yeah, I would call that the plot. What I loved most about this book was the side characters stand out a lot. Her friend group that she makes in Florida stand out so much. And I also really enjoyed the depth of these characters, because each one of these characters, maybe not everyone, but like three of our main characters, the male main character Blake, our female main character Waverly, and one of Waverly's friends, new friends, had become all have kind of family situations basically. So Waverly, her parents, she doesn't feel like she lives up to their expectations. She doesn't feel like they really, not that they don't love her, but she feels very much like a burden to them, and that she doesn't really know what she's good at. She thinks she's very quirky, a little nerdy, a little goofy, and I kind of like that about her. And then Blake, he has some family issues with his stepmom and with the passing of his own mother, and just dealing with those emotions that come with that. And one of Waverly's friends, I can't remember her name now, but her parents are divorced. They're super rich, but they're divorced, and her mom is traveling the world, and her dad's not really there, and like she kind of has to deal with having kind of absent parents, and which that's something that her and Waverly bond over, is their absent parents. So I liked the deeper stuff in this book, because when I picked it up, I thought it was just gonna be a fluffy, cute little romance, and it ended up being a lot deeper than that at times, and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, 3.5 stars. All right, and then we have The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. I read this on my Kindle. This is not Kindle Unlimited. This book is 576 pages. It was a reread, and I gave it 3.25 stars. So, there is content for this book. This book, I have a reading challenge over on my Instagram where I read this book and had a random number generator pick how many pages I read. So if you want to go check that out, go check it out on my Instagram. Again, same handle as I am here. Seriously, I need to sneeze, and you're not letting me sneeze, nose. Okay. I have already read this book. This is a reread. And actually, this is my first time rereading the Heroes of Olympus series. And The Lost Hero is the first one. I liked it more the second time around than I did the first time around. Just because knowing Jason, Piper, and Leo better now, because I've read the whole 5 books, and coming back and reading their origin story in this universe, knowing them better really made that book hit harder. It has the amnesia trope in it, so our male main character has no memories for majority of the book. He slowly gets some of them back, and by the end of the book, he almost has all of them back. As the books go on, I think they start remembering everything. Again, I haven't reread this yet, so this is only the first book. I love these characters. Genuinely, they are great characters. Love and appreciate them. I think my favorite character is Leo. If you know, you know. Leo's great. All the ladies love Leo. That's a niche reference there. If you're a Percy Jackson fan, you'll know what I'm talking about. I honestly, the Heroes of Olympus books in my mind are the most quotable Percy Jackson books. I'm not saying that the first 5 in the Percy Jackson Olympian series aren't quotable, but I feel like for some reason, The Lost Hero and on, like just the Heroes of Olympus ones, you can quote so much more stuff. There's so many funny lines from that, and also some very emotional, heart-wrenching lines in there too. But yeah, so if you want to check this book out, or my thoughts on this book as I was reading it, or just kind of see that challenge, Instagram for you. And yeah, I genuinely enjoyed this book. It was a great reread. I had a lot of fun with it. It was awesome. Oh, dropped this on my ankle. Ow. Okay, moving on to the video that won't be out until Monday. This video is coming out, not this video, but the video for these books is coming out on Monday. I read A Curse for True Love, which is the 3rd and final book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I have read all of these books now. These are all my Stephanie Garber books. I have read all of them now. And this book is 387 pages, and I gave it 5 stars. Now, the only reason why I got 5 stars was because of Ballad of Never After, the second book. The ending of the second book, or really just the second book in general, is the only reason why this got 5 stars. Also, Apollo. The ending of Apollo. I have never been so happy for a villain to get their end. in my life. I hate Apollo so much. I know hate's a strong word, but I genuinely don't like him at all. And this book, amnesia trope, again, weirdly enough, I read 2 books with the amnesia trope back to back. Didn't realize that. Loved it. I genuinely love this. The only reason why I got 5 stars is because of the build up from Ballad of Never After, like the ending of that, and it carrying on into this book. I cannot wait for Stephanie Garber's novella or short story or whatever she's writing about Evangeline and Jax to come out. Whenever that will be, no rush, but I'm so excited for it. Since I've officially finished this series, I've actually been Googling or Pinteresting, if that's a word, fan art and stuff, because I can finally look at fan art and look at people's comments and reviews and stuff without worrying about spoilers. And I do think that I liked Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy more than Caraval. The Caraval trilogy, I did. This one, a lot of people say this is the weakest of the 3. I'm gonna be honest, I think the first one's the weakest of the 3. Once Upon a Broken Heart. I do think this one's the weakest of the 3. Not because it just, that one I didn't like. Like, I had to work through Once Upon a Broken Heart to get to Ballad of Never After. And Ballad of Never After, favorite Stephanie Garber book. Favorite Stephanie Garber book so far is The Ballad of Never After. Loved that one, and it getting carried in, like, some of the stuff getting carried into this one. I loved the Evangeline and Jax moments in this book as well. I loved getting Jack's POV in this book. Like, this is a multiple POV. It goes Evangeline, Apollo, and Jax. All of their POVs kind of intermix in this book. Now, yeah, I'm gonna say this, maybe a hot take, but I do really think the first one's kind of the weaker of the 3. I understand that people weren't thrilled with the ending of this one, but I didn't hate it. Especially, I think, because when I finished it, or when I was in the middle of reading it, I found out that Stephanie Garber was writing a novella or some short story, something, I'm going to say novella, about Jax and Evangeline. So I'm like, okay, so then there's going to be more to their story. I think that gives a comfort to me that this isn't where their story ends. There will be more. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I think I just loved, I do think I like this trilogy more than I liked the original Caraval trilogy, just because mathematically wise, I only like Caraval in this trilogy. I actually like 2 of this trilogy. I didn't hate the first one, but I prefer the latter 2. So, there's that. Now, on to our last book of the month. Is probably the worst way to end this month. Such a downer book. If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This book was 354 pages of almost pure torture for me, and I gave it 2 stars. I have not given a book that low of a rating in a while. And again, my review on Fable will probably go in more detail than I will be right now. But I could not get into this book for the life of me. It was so long. It was boring for majority of it. And it's a murder mystery, by the way. If someone, here, read this book. They didn't tell me it was a murder mystery and I was just reading it. I would have had no idea it was a murder mystery until probably about 60% of the way through the book. You would not have had any clue that this was a murder mystery book until probably 50 to 60% of the way through it. I can't remember when the dude dies, so I was like, yeah, I really actually don't know when the dude died. I think it may have been Act 2. So this is heavily inspired by Shakespeare. It feels like I was reading A Midsummer Night's Dream, but with murder. I actually don't remember if A Midsummer Night's Dream has murder in it, but it felt like I was reading a Shakespearean tragedy, but it was a lot. It was so long, and it took forever to get, I had to work through this book to figure out what happened. I had no suspect on who did the murder. Everyone was suspects to me because everyone was acting crazy. And look, I'm sure there's people out there that love this book. I'm not trying to diss on the author. I think she did a good job. This book just was weird to me. I was confused for over half of it. And then once the reveal happened, it was kind of underwhelming to me. I was like, oh, this is what I've read 300 something pages for was this reveal, and it just kind of was like, oh, okay. I really would have thought that like someone, I really would have thought this reveal would have been a lot crazier due to the fact that like I've waited this long to find out who did this. That's my opinion on this. I didn't love it. I was confused, and I don't know if like this is a book I probably won't recommend. That's what 2 stars really means to me, is I'm probably not going to recommend this to anyone unless you're a huge Shakespeare fan and you're okay with some gruesome or very graphic topics and things talked about. I want to get into the mystery setting, but this one missed that mark for me. And I feel bad because it, like, I actually like Shakespeare, by the way. I read Shakespeare willingly. That's why like, this felt like I was reading a Shakespearean tragedy. It missed for me. It was so long, pretty boring from the beginning to, like, over halfway through it. I was confused. I was like, okay, what's going on? What's the plot here? And I, like, people were like, oh, these characters are so well written. I couldn't get attached to them. I could not relate to any of the characters. It was weird. It's a weird book. That's my opinion on it. If you like this book, that's okay. If you don't like this book, that's also okay. It's each their own if they like this or not. It just missed the mark for me. And yeah, it missed the mark for me. So, those are the 9 books I read in October, and I cannot wait to see how many books I read in November and what books I get to in November, because I have so many books on my TBR that I want to get to, that I want to read. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!